No matter what, people will commit to misunderstanding you. What's most important is your commitment to understanding yourself. Hello, you guys. My name is Nkirk Madani, known as NK, and welcome back to Misunderstood. Today, we're going to be talking about dating, specifically red flags, disappointment, and feeling left behind. This episode could not be more timely because I have been involved in a series of unfortunate events. And of course, I'm going to share it on my safest space, which is my podcast. It's also very interesting because over the course of time on TikTok, on YouTube, on other platforms, I've been asked in many different variations about my dating life. And here's the thing. I feel like with a lot of topics such as dating, they can be very personal, of course. This is not just your everyday chat. I've said this very openly on other platforms. I just don't really feel comfortable diving into this topic on those platforms to a really granular level. We are going to get very specific here today. I want to make that very clear. This is honestly, strap in, buckle up. This is probably going to be one of the most off the cuff, unhinged episodes of Misunderstood. All right. You've been warned. That is the disclaimer. I also have a few more disclaimers, but I just wanted to set the scene. We are going to be talking about dating, and I think that all that I'm about to share will maybe shock you, but also, and more importantly, I, of course, want to help other people. That is the only reason why I share these episodes. Yes, this is also for me to be able to just have a record of the things that go on and really try to make sense of things. Most importantly, above all, it is about sharing my experiences so that other people don't feel alone, because we all go through very similar experiences. We just don't talk about it. So of course, that is what Misunderstood is all about. So before we get into this episode, take some time right now to rate the show Misunderstood 5 stars. You guys know this is my baby. It is my passion project. And it is an endeavor that I embarked on over a year ago. I'm very proud of it. And I believe I'm more so proud of it because I was brave and I used my voice and I'm sharing experiences that are healing myself, but also healing others. And I love getting your guys' feedback, whether it is leaving a comment on one of the episodes or getting a DM, email, voice notes on Instagram, all of it really means a lot, and I really appreciate it. If you have not already, please take some time to rate the show Misunderstood 5 stars on both Apple and Spotify. The ratings matter so much. I say it every single episode because this is very important to me and I want to continue doing it. I bring you guys episodes every single week and I've been doing that for this is our 81st episode. So please take some time. It is a free and easy thing to do to support the person behind the mic. Thank you so much. Let us get into the episode. So like I said, we're talking about dating and we're going to get really personal today because I have been going through something in the last few weeks with a person that turned out to be scary and not great. I get to come on here on my platform and speak on it. Like I said a little bit ago, we have more disclaimers. I want to make it very clear that this podcast is female run, female owned, and it is for the female audience. I'm a female talking about my experiences and I'm catering everything to women. I understand fully that this podcast is public, of course. Anybody can listen to this podcast and great, listen, but I really want to make sure that people are very conscious about responding. Because we can listen and we don't have to add commentary, of course. But I really want to hear from the women who have been in these positions and who have been through this because I'm speaking directly to them. I'm not speaking to any other category of people. Let us be so crystal clear on that. Why I'm actually really specifically saying that is because the last podcast episode that actually took off, meaning it got a lot of views, it got a lot of engagement, that was being experienced and not chosen. We talked about dating in a very granular, very hyper specific and vulnerable way. I really went there in that episode. And unfortunately, the majority of people who were not even women, they added commentary that was negative to the conversation, which is unfortunate. So I'm saying this at the beginning before you hear anything else of this episode. It lives on Spotify. It lives on my podcast servers, but it gets distributed onto YouTube eventually. So of course, other people are going to be hearing this, and let us just hope let us just hope that people use common sense and follow the disclaimers as stated. All right. Thank you so much. Y'all, I am very, very anxious as well. I think it's important to be honest about that. I'm so anxious. I've been having a really hard time with what's been going on. And also, there's just been a lot of changes. Also, I almost forgot. I realized what you're seeing if you're watching on video. One, I have braids. I have not had braids in 2 years. The last time I got braids was in June 2024. So it's been 2 years. No one on the podcast has ever seen me in braids because I have not had them in 2 years. That's the first new thing that you're seeing optically. Second, I am in a completely different room than you've ever seen. I have also never been in this room until right before I plugged everything in to record this podcast. So, there's some newness. There's some changes happening. Will we be seeing this place again? Most likely. When? I don't know. But I just wanted to switch things up, and we got some nice natural light, and we are rocking. We're rocking and rolling. If we hear any outside noise, I'm sorry. I live in New York and I'm not in a podcast studio. So if you hear noises, just know that's all part of it. Living in New York and being a podcaster who does not have a dedicated podcast studio. Moving on. I'm anxious, but let us get into this episode. I did not write anything down for this episode, and I think that's also making me very anxious, but I realize that some episodes are best just word vomiting, and of course I'm going to go back and edit this later, but I plan on keeping everything in that I say. Let's see where we get. So, number one, dating red flags. The really big red flags that I have encountered in my whole portfolio of dating are love bombing and ghosting. I feel like those are two of the biggest red flags that someone can commit towards you in a dating sense. And please feel free to leave a comment on any red flags that you have been personally victimized by. I would love to hear them so we can all just heal together. But these are the two main ones that I have been dealing with for a very, very long time. I also want to say for the second one, ghosting. I have been ghosted twice now. And the second one was the story that we are going to be telling today in detail on this podcast. But let's start with love bombing. I get so scared when a man is pouring way too much energy into me so quickly, saying a lot of very lofty and very passionate and strong things right up top. It feels so disingenuous and it puts me immediately on the defense. I don't like it. And I have done a really good job of staying away from it. And what happened in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks really threw me off, and it came out of nowhere also, which we'll talk about. But the very first time that I fully experienced love bombing to the point of I feel sick to my stomach that these interactions are happening was the first guy who I dated here in New York City. So this was now 3.5 years ago. I dated him, July 2023. Literally had just moved here 4 months prior. And this guy was saying all of these really lofty things. He told me he loved me really early on. I reflect on that time and I understand that I myself was younger and I was a little bit more impressionable and I wanted love, but I realized after all of that, at what cost? It was scary to be involved with somebody who would tell me these very strong feelings. And of course, especially as an empath, whoever's an empath listening to this, you understand people who say those types of phrases and words, you take that to heart no matter what, because you believe optimistically, you believe that somebody who says that to you cares about you. That is so normal. That is a normal thought process. So to get love bombed and then have a complete switch up is a literal gut punch. It makes me feel like someone literally punched me in the face and I fell down. I feel so disoriented and I feel very unsure and I start to question myself. I start to feel crazy. So any of the girls listening to this who have honestly been made to feel crazy, I'm speaking to you. This actually makes me think of this one song by Kiana Ledee. I don't know if I'm saying her last name right, but she's one of my favorite artists and she has a song called I think it's called Crazy, but one of the verses in the song is, if you call me crazy, I'm gonna show you crazy. Something like that. All right. I'm not gonna look it up. But I think about how guys love to reel a girl in, make her feel wanted, make her feel valued, make her feel seen, just enough to get them on the hook, pull away. And we naturally are like, what the fuck is going on? It makes us honestly start to feel crazy. And I never want to feel that way. And I don't want anyone to feel that way because it really sucks. It sucks to feel used and discarded because honestly, it is a version of being used and discarded. You used me, you toyed with me, you toyed with my emotions, even if it wasn't physical. And then you decided, I'm done. So the love bombing to ghosting pipeline is insanity. It's insanity. And I do believe that any man who does this to anyone, you are sick in the head. You are sick in the head. You need to go to therapy. You need to figure your shit out and stop bringing people into your bullshit. Should I start telling the story? Let me go find these text messages. Honestly, I'm trying to decide if I want to read all of these straight up. Y'all, there's so much. There's so much tea. There's so much craziness. Strap in, get ready. Let us begin. I'm going to give you date stamps, time stamps, receipts, everything. June 20th. So this was about 3 weeks ago. I went to an event in Chelsea. It was for the German soccer game that was happening for FIFA. I got invited by the agency and the brand. And here's the thing. I realized that there's so many ways that I can annihilate people. I can annihilate them because I have so much shit on them. And again, I didn't go looking for shit. You made the shit and I just have it. I have it stored. You brought this on yourself. And I look back and I think, damn, if I publicly say this, you are done for. You are actually done for. So I'm deciding, do I want to be petty? And then if so, how petty do I want to be? Here's the thing. I'm going to be a little petty because I am upset, but we'll see what comes out of my mouth. Remember, this is completely off scripted. I went to an event and honestly, if you really want to know, you can go and look at the event that I went to. I'm not going to say it, but I did go to an event with a brand and I brought my friend. We were having a good time. And I always think about when I am just living my own life. I'm doing my own thing. I'm hot. I'm single and I'm fun. I know that I'm fun. Let's not get misunderstood here. I think highly of myself because I have great attributes. Yes, I'm told that by other people, but you know it in yourself. That's not being narcissistic. That's not being full of yourself. That's knowing who you are and being confident. There's a difference. So anyways, me and my friend, we're just having a good ass time at this event. It's open bar, food, and the game's playing in the background. Were we really in tune with the game? Not really. Did we know much about the Germans and soccer? No, but we're here for a good time. We had the soccer jerseys on. They provided the jerseys. Anywho, we're there for about 2 hours and the event is winding down at this point. And we're standing at the bar and there's this guy who comes up to me, asks me, how do I like the drink? I don't know this guy, of course. And then we just start chatting. Mind you, I am tipsy because I had chugged 2 beers. I usually don't do that. Again, weekend NK, they're kind of two different girls. All right. So that day in particular, I just wanted to have a little bit more fun than usual. So I was tipsy. I was wearing a cute little skirt. I had my little strappy heels. My legs looked great. And I know that I looked good, but I was there with my friend and we were just kikiing and having a good time. This guy comes up, asks if I like the beer. Little did I know, he works for the beer company that the brand event was surrounded around. So I'm just chatting with him very, very casually. Yeah, I mean, this is great. I'm having a good time. Thanks for hosting. Yada, yada, yada. He says, we're going to Summer Stage tonight. Elderbrook is playing. And I say, fun. That sounds like a really fun time. I've heard Summer Stage is fun. I've never been to Summer Stage. And I said that. And he said, you should come with us. So that was insinuating that he was going to somehow get us tickets, or I don't know if they had a box. I have no idea the logistics, but he went to go talk to his colleagues and then said, sorry, we can't bring more people into our section, but let me go find you this specific beer with lemonade and the beer brand. So we wait, he tries to find it, he doesn't find it, and we chit chat a little bit more, and then we say bye. I do not clock anything. I do not think anything of it, truly. I'm just having fun with my friend. We're having a good time, 2 peas in a pod. Now, fast forward 12 hours later. It's the next day. Sunday, and I'm out with another friend having a good time. On my Instagram, I noticed that I have a message request, and I'm just going to read it straight up. It is from the guy who approached me at the event, and he said, "Hi, you remember who I am?" I don't see that message, by the way. He sends me another message hours later, replying to my story of me and my friend in our German soccer jerseys. I tagged the brand. He said, "Was lovely to meet you yesterday. I hope you had a nice time." And that's when I had seen it. And I say on Monday, I see it a whole day later. Mind you, I never check my Instagram message requests. If you're new here, I'm not a big fan of Instagram, so I don't really pay that much attention to it, if I'm being so honest. So I wasn't really online. So I saw this a whole day after he had said this. I said, "Hi, yes, of course, I remember you. So nice meeting you. Hope Elderbrook was fun." So now we're talking about Elderbrook. Then he says, "It was great. I wish we could have gotten you to come with us. If you see a concert for Summer Stage you would like to go to, I have tickets to all of them." All right. So if you're offering me this, of course, I'm going to partake. So I said, "Oh, well, awesome. I would actually love to go to this one." So I send a screenshot of the one I want to go to. He said, "Sure thing. I'll put in the request for you now and try to get you the good tickets." All right. So now we're talking about the tickets. While we're talking about the logistics of the tickets, he says, "Also, would you want to grab a drink sometime with me, that is? Haha." And I said, "Sure. Sounds fun." Smiley face. He says, "When are you free?" He also confirms the tickets. He says, "So I can get you 2 VIP tickets to the Summer Stage show that I want to go to." Now that I know that is confirmed, now we're talking about going on a date. At the time we're messaging, I have had some of the busiest weeks of my life, honestly. I have been doing brand events on the weekends. I have been traveling. I have been seeing my friends. And one thing about me, I think I said this a few episodes back, I will not just abandon my friends' plans, and I won't just abandon plans that I already have just because a guy's paying attention to me, because that's stupid. I'm my own person outside of any man who ever entertains me. Okay. So on the date of June 22nd, I gave him my starting availability of July 6th, the week of July 6th. I said, that is the first time I'm free, which is literally 3 weeks from the date we were texting. And I recognize that is a long time away, but that's the situation. I'm not going to change up my plans for you, especially because I don't know you. All right. So he agreed to that. He says, "So you want to do drinks or dinner or both?" I said, "Up for both." And then he asked me, regardless of the tickets, which are yours 100%, what's your situation? Single, married, or involved? And I said, single, haha. He said, "The second I saw you, I wanted to take you out. I wouldn't just run around trying to find the beer for anyone." So like I said, that's what started our whole chat in person. He says, "Can I give you my number so we can text rather than this?" I gave him my number. Guys, I actually cannot believe this is happening in real time. I'm shaking. Oh my God. Y'all, I'm shaking. I'm shaking. Guys, you are going to die when I finally get through the story. What are the odds as I am recording the episode? Oh my God. What the fuck? I'm like, do I say his name? Probably not. That's probably going too far. I will not say his name. We will call him G. That's it. G. All right. Okay. We will get to why I got freaked out, or not freaked out, but we will get to why that reaction makes sense. But full disclosure, before I even read all this, he just texted me after a non-response for 2 days. We will get there. Okay. Hi, it's G. Hey, it's NK. So tell me, when I'm planning our date, what do you not like? It's easier to say what I like. Favorite foods: Italian, New American, Greek, Japanese, Southern. He says, "And for logistics, do you care where we go?" He said, "Don't want to be weird and say, where do you live? But I want to make it easy for you." I say, "I live in blank. I don't care where we go." He said, "So I'm having an event here that day," which is the date that we set. We set July 9th. Which, funny enough, I'm recording this on July 7th, just for context. So the most hilarious thing is that we had not even gotten to said date and all this shit happens. Just wanted to interject that. He says, "So I'm having an event here that day on July 9th. We could do something in this area if you want to join me, or I can come to Manhattan after I finish. I know an Italian restaurant downtown that I think would make you like me." I say, "Enjoy your event. We can meet in downtown after." He said, "If our date goes well, maybe I'll bring you to all the shows. I have VIP to any Bowery presence events, just saying. So I say, I actually haven't been to many concerts here in New York City, so I'm intrigued. Girls, remember, this whole thing, I'm talking to the girls. He said, maybe you'll need to be the one impressing me, so I keep inviting you. And then right after that, he said, honestly, you've already impressed me. I couldn't stop staring at you, and I cannot wait to do it again. And I say, and what exactly impresses you? I already have. How so? In relation to him saying that I impressed him already. And he said, I'm not going to lie, I thought you were the most gorgeous woman I've seen, and you were very sweet and humble. I mean, you can only get better, I think, but hopefully I'm not wrong. I said, I realized we didn't get to talk much there, but it was a really great event. This is the day we met. It was very short as well, right? So girls, you can already sense that I'm very much on the defense because again, I don't know him. We talked for maybe 15 minutes, if that, and he's just coming on very, very strong. I get a lot of it is banter, which banter is not a bad thing, but it felt borderline love bomby, and we will get into more of that as I continue reading. He said, I hope I find out how fun you are. We didn't talk much at all, but I just had a feeling about you, so I reached out. I said, and then you tracked me down, haha, because he did track me down. He found me on Instagram and replied to my story, and here we are. That's the reason why we're here. He said, you were too good to not try, at least. I'd take you out tonight if you let me. I say, unfortunately, I leave super early tomorrow morning and I have to pack and still work a bit now. So this was all the text thread the day before my flight to Toronto. Mind you, I'm about to go on an international solo trip. I have not packed. I have a full day of work ahead of me, and this man is texting me nonstop. I said in my brain, let me just entertain this just because this is our first time speaking, but this is not the regular cadence at which we will be speaking because I don't like texting. It's overwhelming and I have shit to do. I'm a busy girl. All right, continuing on. He says, well, when you get back, I'd be happy to pick you up and drop you home. Here's the thing. That gesture, it feels too much, right? You're doing all these acts of grandeur and trying to look like the hero very early on when we haven't even sat down face to face uninterrupted and talked. All right. So these are all the things that are just ringing in my brain. And so I said, the fact that you have a car in the city is impressive. Haha. He said, we can go for a drive whenever. It's my work car, so not very impressive, but I'll give you a ride whenever you want. Then he talked about his beach house. It's on Long Island, not the Hamptons, but it's around there. Should I say where it is? I guess it doesn't really matter. It's South Holt. One of my friends lives kind of close, so she told me about the area. It is a very nice area. But anyways, it's called South Holt. That's where the house is. So again, he's the one talking about his beach house. He's the one talking about picking me up from the airport. He's the one talking about wining and dining me and taking me to all these places and concerts and things. I'm setting the scene here. I'm fully setting the scene. I'm being very specific. I'm setting the scene on how it felt like a lot very, very, very early. Again, this is the very first text thread. This is all in one day that he's saying this as well. He just keeps on saying, I think you're beautiful. I'm very attracted to you. Hence, I reached out, and whatever happens, happens. If I am lucky enough that you let me take you away, I'll be so happy. And then he said, and after you spend one night with me, you won't want to leave. He's also asking me about what I like to eat. Let me just read this verbatim. He said, I get this is just out of the blue, but what do you like to eat for breakfast? I answer the question just because why not? He responds, hey, I want to know what to serve you when I need to. Again, it feels way too much, way too soon. You haven't even passed any tests. You are baiting me. You are love bombing me, honestly. I say, also, I'm actually not the biggest fan of texting, but I wanted to engage today because we're just meeting. I know the date is in a while, but I would like to save a lot of the chat for then. If that works for you, let me know, smiley face. And I feel like that was a very mature way to just set a boundary. And I've said this with everyone. I said this with my friends. I said this with work. I said this all the time because I know myself and I know that I can get carried away, but I need to focus on certain things to be able to have fun in other ways. So it seemed like he took that well and he understood. He said, totally fine. I get it. We will save our chat for date one. Okay, so me thinking the conversation would have a natural pause there. He goes back at it. He says, you're not around this week, correct? Which I told him I'm literally leaving tomorrow for Toronto. He says, why I ask is I may have a ticket to the World Cup game on Thursday. Bro. So then I say I'm flying back on Thursday. It's too late in the day to get to the game. That would be so fun though. It's definitely a dream to go one day. And I have work events all weekend and early next week. He says, well, I'll have more tickets. He brings up he has a ticket for the June 30th game and the July 5th game. I said, okay, I can swing July 5th. Definitely still want to do our July 9th though. He said, July 9th is in the books. I'll let you know about the 5th. It's an early game. Maybe we have to spend the night together on the 4th. Again, just little insinuations, little jabs there. And I said no overnights before the first proper date, but definitely let me know if the 5th works. Now that I am looking at this a lot more objectively, and of course, during this, I'm just a girl, like you're just a girl. You are looking at it so subjectively. You are thinking, oh, wow, this guy really likes me. This guy is paying this much attention to me. This is trending in the right direction. That's what we all think in the moment, of course, even though I still had some reservations and I thought, wow, this is a lot, but it felt exciting. That's where the line gets very blurry between that intoxication and excitement and the passion over text, but how does this person show up in person? So from that point, which was June 22nd, all the way up until July 5th, we had been texting very minimally, like I wanted. I didn't really want nonstop text. He did check in a few times during that period of time. On July 3rd, the day before the 4th of July, he sends me a photo, presumably of his house in South Hold. He sends me a photo of the pool. Have to say, it looks very, very nice. He said, not a bad day. I say, no invite, thanks. He says, I actually did invite you, but we did say no overnights till our first date. And I said I was kidding because yes, he did extend an invite for 4th of July, but I had plans with my friends and I'm not canceling on my friends for a boy, especially a boy who has not taken me out on a proper date. So now we're talking about the house. He's having people over. He almost got me to come to the house just for the evening. He did propose, hey, I could call my friends and see if someone can pick you up from the city and drive you here. He offered to just figure it out on my behalf. I was almost sold. I said, I'm getting nervous at the thought of meeting so many new people and I'd be scrambling to get ready, which is stressful. I'd rather be in a more calm state in that scenario. And you're hosting, so I don't want you to feel like you have to put your energy towards me while there's others around. So it's probably best if I sit this one out. Smiley face. And then he said, I'd give you all my energy, but I get it. Next time, just the two of us at the house, no distractions. I said, but I'm excited for Sunday though. So again, that was Friday, July 3rd. Sunday, July 5th is the World Cup game. So I said, excited for Saturday though. He hearts the message. Sunday comes around. I didn't hear from him in the morning, which I thought was strange. He did say that he would let me know where to meet him and logistics in the morning. So I call him because I wanted to know. I wanted to see what the plan was. I didn't know that he was still going to be at his beach house. I called him at 8:30 a.m. and he said when I get back to his house, which he lives in Floral Park, which is Long Island. I'm not super familiar with Long Island, but I know that's Long Island. Anyways, he said, once I get back to the house, I will call you to figure out logistics for the World Cup game. Your girl knew she was going to the World Cup because I had that confirmation from him. So I put on my Brazil shirt. I'm excited. It was the Brazil versus Norway game. I was so excited to get this opportunity. And I looked at it as, all right, this will be great time for us to spend together because I would be going with him. He texted me at 12:28 p.m. So 4 hours after we had gotten off the phone, which is a very long time after we had gone off the phone, truthfully. He says, hey, sorry, I haven't been in touch. I got in a car accident. I'm not sure what time I'm getting back at. I'm waiting on the tow truck as we speak. I said, oh shit, are you okay? Because yes, at the end of the day, if someone tells you they're in a car accident, the first and foremost thing is, are you okay? Are you safe? Safety is the most important thing. Nothing else matters. That's the first thing I say. And then I asked him, should I meet you somewhere? I know the game's at 4, but I'm not sure what time you planned on taking the train. If anybody is aware of how the NJ Transit is working during the World Cup games, there's only 2 different ways to get to the stadium. You either take an Uber and have it drop you off or get on the NJ Transit. But of course, you need a valid World Cup ticket to even get on the transit. And he had that. So he says, I'm fine. the car is not. Just need to get the car picked up, then I'll know more. So I waited out. But in my brain, I keep on saying to myself, I'm going to this game. We are going to this game. That was at 12:30. The game's at 4. By the time he texts me, it seemed like he was already figuring out the situation, that the tow truck was already on its way. So there was still time. There was still so much time to get to the game at that point. Let's see. An hour later, so now it's 1:38 p.m. He says, I'm not making it. I don't think. I have your email. I'm going to call and try to transfer you the tickets. I'll be in touch shortly. I have to call the company. Truthfully, when I got that text message, I was very sad because something about just the day kind of seemed a little odd. It just felt very off, truly. And I had my friend read all of this and she equally agreed. Something just feels off about this. We could talk about why didn't he leave the beach house significantly earlier, given the World Cup game is today, given someone else is coming with him. There are a lot of logistics that, of course, could have been better, I would say. And of course, also, no one plans for a car accident, and that is out of anyone's control. But it's interesting. My friend who was reading all this, she played devil's advocate and she said, do you think that he made it up? And here's the thing. I will go on record. I don't want to believe that. I always want to believe in the best in people. I want to believe that people wouldn't go as far as to make up a lie to that caliber, because that is such a fucked up lie to make. So I want to believe that it actually happened. As unfortunate as a car accident is, it better be true. If all of this happened on the day that we were supposed to meet, after all of this back end talk, all of this build up, the one first day we were supposed to actually meet, after 3 weeks, this is happening, feels just weirdly coincidental. This is actually also leading up to the second point of this episode, disappointment. This whole day felt like such a disappointment, truly. He then texts me, so sorry, I'm not going to make it back. And I haven't heard from the company about transferring the tickets. I don't want to keep you waiting. I know this is the kind of thing that makes you not want to speak to me again. And I get that. It's just been so out of my control today. I really wanted to spend the day with you and I'm more annoyed than you can imagine. So out of that whole message, what really rubbed me the wrong way was, I know this is the kind of thing that makes you not want to speak to me again. That is an assumption. That is you assuming something of me. You didn't give me a chance to respond. You didn't give me a chance to share how I feel. You just assumed something and ran with it. That's what made me upset and that's what made me disappointed, especially because we haven't even met up for a date yet. So all I said to that, which I was so mature. I was so mature. Now I'm petty. But in the moment, I handled this the most mature way ever. I said, can you please call me when you're home? That's all I said. All right. And this was at 2:30 p.m. We have a phone call. He's apologizing. I directly addressed the assumption. I also told him, it just makes me feel like you don't want to hang out with me for the rest of the day, because essentially we were supposed to spend time together on Sunday, regardless of what happened. Then he proposes dinner. So then I say, yeah, I mean, I literally have a completely free day because we were supposed to go to the World Cup. No big deal. He says, I just got home. The car's being taken care of and I'll come to the city. We'll go to dinner. We'll go to wherever you want. So I send him the restaurant I want to go to. He sends me a fucking screenshot of the reservation confirmation for the dinner. Your reservation for Zona Tribeca is confirmed for 2 people, Saturday, July 5th, 7 p.m. Keep that in mind, guys. Remember that detail. Let it be known. I don't heart the message. I don't like it. I just let it be. I'm not going to praise someone for doing the bare minimum. Truly, I am not going to praise someone for doing the bare minimum. He says, maybe I'll get there early and we can get drinks. I told him I was going to be at a bar to just hang out and watch the game and basically wait it out until he gets to the city, which is exactly where I was. So I was at a bar. I was at a bar that I really like. I know the staff, especially when a really shitty day happens. You really want to be around people who you feel that comfortability with, right? So I'm happy that I went to that specific bar. So the last text that we had was 3:43 p.m. I said, just meet me at blank. I'm not going to say the name of the bar because I go there a lot. And he thumbs up the message. Your girl is sitting at the bar. She watches the entire Norway-Brazil game. So sad Brazil lost, by the way. Talking to other people at the bar, talking to the bartender, just chilling. A guy also buys me a drink. So random, but kind of fucking hilarious. this given everything that happened. So the time's going by. That game ended at 6. Our dinner reservation, remember those details, 7 p.m. in Tribeca. So he had to definitely get to me at least at 6:30 for us to make our reservation. Like I said, the game ended at 6. So I had that 30 minutes of just hanging out at the bar, just minding my own business. 6:20, 6:30 rolls around. I don't hear anything from him. 6:30, 6:45, don't hear anything. I text him at 6:47 p.m. saying, so now we're late for dinner, ? With the upside down emoji. 7:15, I say, I'm very confused. What is going on? I've been sitting here waiting at the bar. And right at that moment, I was filled with so much fucking anger. I was on the verge of tears. I walk out of the bar. I start crying because I'm just a girl who has been ghosted. What the literal fuck? After being told with a reservation, I'll be there shortly, saying all these things, not following through is literally the biggest slap in the face. You cannot convince me otherwise. This is the biggest slap in the face. And I am just livid at this point. I don't hear from him all night. I am so upset. I'm so frustrated. I call one of my friends. She's the one who knows this whole situation. She's the one who has read all the text messages. She's livid. She leaves where she is, comes all the way to me. We sit in my apartment. I'm crying my eyes out for an hour. I call a guy friend. He's a great friend at the end of the day, and he really cares about me. And I call him crying. I don't give him all the details, but I say, you know what? I've had a really shitty day and I just need someone to talk to. So Sunday was literally one of the shittiest days I've ever had. I felt gutted. Monday rolls around. Mind you, today's Tuesday, the 7th. All right. So I want you guys to really understand the domino effect of this. Monday, yesterday, I woke up feeling so sad. I felt numb, but I needed to push past the pain. I had my sulking period, not saying that I'm not going to have more, because as I'm recording this, I am still very upset. I'm still very sad. I feel very hurt. All so valid. I still have to be strong for myself. So I do my routine. I go to the gym. I go to PT, and actually having PT first thing in the morning after all that was really shitty because bless his heart, my new PT guy is great. And he asked me, how was your weekend? I say, yeah, I don't want to put you through what I've been through. And I start tearing up because I'm just a girl. And he says, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. But PT made me feel better. Working out made me feel better. Pouring myself back into work made me feel better. Even after disappointment, girls, pouring yourself back into things that stabilize you will make you feel better. And the shittiest thing about disappointment is that we can avoid it. People are going to do what they're going to do. We just have to react the best way we can. And that is one of the biggest things I've learned is I need to react better. That doesn't mean that I'm void of emotion. I am very emotional, but I'm learning how to cope better with disappointment because unfortunately people are going to disappoint you. Friends, family, colleagues, dating. People are going to disappoint you, but that doesn't mean that you throw in the towel, and that doesn't mean that you give up and lose yourself. I will never fucking lose myself in someone else. Even when I'm in a healthy, good relationship, I will still be me. And I want you to, of course, continue to be you as well. So I went through the motions of yesterday, Monday, and I was still just very shocked that I haven't heard from him. But like I said, I had to do work. I had to be a human being. I had to cook. I had to function. Here's where the petty comes in because you don't get to disrespect me and get away with it. Yesterday, I did some recon. I did some investigative journalism. I went back in our text messages and I realized that he had told me a few things. I know where he works. I know the Instagram account that is affiliated. I also know where he's going to be on July 9th. And I actually love that I'm recording this now because by the time this episode goes up, no one's going to know. No one's going to know until after July 9th. Yeah, I'm petty sometimes, but I'm petty within reason. I'm not petty for no reason. There is always a reason. If you push me, you're asking for it. So I look back on our text and he said, I'm going to be at this bar on this day. So I just have that in my brain. I call the bar and I ask them if there's a reservation under this name for that day. And they said, no, there's no reservation. We actually usually don't take reservations. But I mentioned his name and the manager who's talking to me said, oh, I actually know him very well. And he usually just comes in. So he'll probably be in that day. I don't know. So I have that little notch of information under my belt if I want to use that. If I want to use that, time will tell. Then I message the beer Instagram of the brand event that I went to that started all of this. Remember, ladies, he got me 2 VIP tickets for the summer stage. Have I gotten my confirmation emails? No. Have I gotten anything for it? No. So was he full of shit the whole fucking time? I message the Instagram and I say, hey, I was told that I have 2 VIP tickets. Here's the screenshot of the thread. Here's all the communication. And don't worry, I will get you his name. I will get you his phone number if you need it. I didn't go into it straight. I just sent the screenshot of you are confirmed for this date. You have VIP free tickets. I sent that screenshot to the Instagram account and they said, thank you for sending this to us. We're going to investigate this. So I sent that this morning, which is Tuesday. Again, the day I'm recording this is Tuesday, July 7th. If you go low, sometimes I'll go high, but sometimes I'll go lower. This is just a lesson. You cannot treat people like that and expect to get away with it. The beer company did their due diligence because guess who just texted me? The guy texted me, and you guys will be the first ones to hear what he said. Hey, so I have no excuse for Sunday. I fell asleep and was just too embarrassed the next day. I do apologize. I feel terrible. I do want to make sure, however, I have the right information for you for the concert. This is actually comical. The only reason why you had no. You have no balls. You are not a man. You guys will also be gagged when I tell you how old he is. Why I know that is because, of course, I did my investigative journalism and I looked into his LinkedIn. I did the math because it's very easy to do the math when you know when someone went to college. That's really the indicator. When you know when they went to college, you can do the math and figure out how old they are. He is 41 years old. So this is so fucking stupid, disrespectful. There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for him acting this way. It's pathetic. I am very disappointed, but also I realize that if you're willing to treat me like this, you did not mean anything you fucking said. So at the end of the day, all of your flashiness and trying to woo me with this, that, and the other means fucking nothing because you couldn't do the bare fucking minimum. So then leave me the hell alone. I'm just glad I called attention to his employer. I did it in the most classy way possible. It was a genuine inquiry of, well, I was promised this. No matter what happens, I'm going to get these damn tickets. That is the least you can do. And the only reason why he messaged me is because the brand contacted him and probably said, what the fuck? Why are you doing this? Why are you being a dick? Why are you being horrible? So I get my tickets. He'll get reprimanded by his employer. That's a little bit of silver lining for me. I want nothing to do with him ever again. I just want my tickets and we're moving on. You could have handled this so much better and you chose not to. This was a choice. This was a conscious choice and you made your choice and I'm making mine. I've made mine and we're moving on. And the last point of chatter I want to have with you guys in this specific episode is about feeling behind. I'll be honest, when my friend came over on Sunday night and I was crying for an hour, I told her I feel so behind sometimes with dating. I'm 31. That's still so young, of course, but I feel this pressure, this societal pressure to have already settled down, to have already found my person and to be moving on with the steps, whatever the fuck steps mean in your life, the stages. I'm not there. And there are times where I do feel behind. But she had a really good point. And she said, there are so many people who are in positions that they should not be. There are so many people who settled. There's so many people who rushed into relationships and now they're regretting it and they're getting divorced and they are backpedaling. And there are a lot of really negative things that happen when you force something that's not supposed to work. So of course, feeling left behind is a very valid feeling, but conversely, you're saving yourself so much more pain and heartache and misery by being alone and staying single. And when I said being alone, I immediately wanted to say, you're never alone because you have your community, you have your friends, you have your family, you have your projects, you have work, you have your world. A man is never, ever, ever supposed to come in and change the trajectory of your life. That is not healthy. When I think about that, it does give me a lot of peace and resolve because I know that there are so many ways my life is so amazing without a partner. right now. There is a lot of me that yearns for that love and that care and that support, and I deserve it, and I'm going to get it when it makes sense, when it is right, when it is fitting. But until then, it's just not wise to continue to put yourself in situations that are harmful and put up with disrespect. I will never do that. I will cut that shit off so fucking fast. And that's what I want you guys to do as well. Me swearing left and right with a smile. Y'all, this one really threw me for a loop. It's almost like a cautionary tale that I want to share with you. I just want all my girls in this community to be healthy and happy. If I can just shed a little bit of light and help people feel more comfortable, that's what I'll always do. So even though these stories are tough and very jarring and very uncomfortable, and I've had a week from hell, I know that I'm going to be okay. I know that I'm not behind because I'm filling my life with so much love and joy and happiness in so many other ways. And I even said this morning when I went to the gym. I am literally the hottest I've ever been. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Let's just be surface level for 2 seconds because again, just to really drill that point home. Every single time a guy disappoints me, every single time I feel very uncomfortable by what a man does, I get that much hotter. I'm in the gym, I'm taking care of myself, I'm eating good, I'm sleeping well, I'm nourished, I'm glowing. It's only because I decided that I will never put a man at the center of my universe. And I don't want you to do that as well. It's all about decentering men all the time. Even when you're in a relationship, you can still effectively decenter men because you have your world, you have your life, you have your friends, you have your hobbies, you have things that bring you so much joy and give you so much purpose. Dating is hard, especially right now in our modern day because there's so much fuckery. There's so much bullshit happening and there's so much non-committal energy, which sucks. People say one thing and do another, but I want you to remember who you are. That's where I want to leave you. I want you to remember who you are. I want you to be hyper conscious about how you're moving through dating. Call shit out when you don't like something. Remember everything, the good, the bad. Make pros and cons lists. I love doing that. And remember ultimately that if dating doesn't feel right now, then don't do it. I know there's such a societal pressure around dating and feeling left behind, all of it. But if it's not working for you right now, that is probably a sign that you just shouldn't even force it. I told my friend, things like this make me just want to take a step back. Granted, mind you, originally, this happened out of nowhere. I did not go seeking anything. It found me. It came to me. But just like that came to me, I know that all the good is going to come to me. And with dating, I know that if you just focus on yourself, all the good is going to come to you too in time. And with that, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Misunderstood. Remember to rate the show 5 stars on both Apple and Spotify and follow it wherever you're listening. Join our Geneva group chat. It is always linked in the description of every single podcast episode. Hang out with me on my other socials, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest at NK Madani. And I will talk to you guys in my next one.